What is up, YouTube? It is Andromeda here, and we are back with another reaction video for y'all. Today we're going to be reacting to another video of LEMMiNO. I love LEMMiNO, y'all love LEMMiNO. Today's video, I'm assuming you've seen from the title, we're going to be reacting to the missing flight of 370. You know, that Malaysian plane that no one seems to know where it landed because it probably landed in the ocean. There's been a bunch of theories concerning like the disappearance of this flight, all ranging from UFO abductions to like some missile that just like, you know, brought it down. We're about to see if like LEMMiNO has anything in store for us, you know, to make us, you know, question various theories and maybe even give an explanation on what happened to that missing airplane. As always, remember to subscribe below the channel. I hope to grow. Comment below, share it with your friends, and let's get on with this video. Ooh, let's see what he has in store for us, y'all. I mean, I love these videos so much. Around Malaysia, March 8, 2014. Wow, this took place in 2014. That's like, I was about to say 7. It's 8 years, I think, yeah. Wow, it's been a while.
At Kuala Lumpur International Airport, a Boeing 777 is preparing for departure.
Malaysian 370, request level.
Alright, so they're just, you know, chit-chatting about taking off.
Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 is a daily passenger flight between Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia and Beijing, China.
I love how he shows the distance, you know. I mean, it's a fairly like, long distance, you know, for someone just to be traveling to the plane. I wouldn't like to drive there
42
or
minutes
just walk
past
there,
midnight,
obviously.
Flight 370 is given clearance to depart. On board are Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, 10 cabin crew members, and 227 passengers.
Whoa, 227. I mean, honestly, I didn't have no idea how many passengers there were, but I mean, I knew there was a good, decent amount, you know, since a lot of families are mourning, but wow, man, that's a lot of people missing. I'm not sure if we found, you know, like their luggage in the ocean and whatnot. Alright, they're already clocking out, you know, they're about to go sleep. Probably leave the plane on autopilot. Everything sounds normal, you know, like for air traffic control. So far, I mean, they're just clocking out, saying their good nights to one another. Probably check back in, you know, in the morning when they're awake.
1 minute and 43 seconds later, the aircraft suddenly vanished from radar screens at Kuala Lumpur, Ho Chi Minh.
And after that 1 minute, like something, you know, happened to their air transmission. Like, I don't know,
being emitted
like
by one of 2 transponders aboard the plane, and so its disappearance would suggest both transponders ceased to function.
Oh, okay, there you
the
go.
The system was manually deactivated by someone on board.
That is so sus.
All subsequent
Red
attempts
alerts
to contact and ascertain the whereabouts of Flight 370 are unsuccessful. The aircraft has seemingly vanished without a trace.
Jesus,
After
man.
missing its scheduled time of arrival in Beijing some 4 hours later,
I wonder what the reaction of air traffic control once, you know, they knew that this plane went off grid.
The most expensive search effort in aviation history.
Oh yeah,
is about to commence.
definitely. It was so expensive, we still haven't found the effing plane, bruh. I hope we do it, but I hope they find it in my lifetime, because I want to know what happened, you know. This is so recent.
The search was initially concentrated around the location of the flight's disappearance between the South China Sea and the Gulf of Thailand. The search area was soon expanded, however, after the Malaysian military disclosed additional information. Unlike the radar system employed by air traffic control, long-range military radar does not rely on transponders but use reflectance to track the position of
we gain more
targets.
detail, you know, how I'm trying to locate the plane.
Collected by the Malaysian military revealed that moments of the contact with Flight 370 was lost. The aircraft had deviated from its scheduled flight path with a subtle turn to the right, followed by a prolonged turn to the left.
Oh.
The aircraft had then flown back towards and across the Malaysian peninsula before turning right near the island of Penang. It maintained this northwesterly heading until it escaped radar's coverage. Over the next few days, the Strait of Malacca, the Andaman Sea, and the Bay of Bengal was scoured by a multinational fleet of aircraft and vessels, but there was no trace.
Yo, that is so crazy how, you know, technology nowadays can track some things like so far, but yet, you know, it isn't even enough.
Like all modern airliners,
like things can be lost still in this world that can't be tracked anymore.
Or SATCOM to send and receive transmissions to and from the ground. Prior to departure, the SATCOM terminal had logged onto the satellite network and established a connection with a ground station in Perth, Australia. That station then maintained a detailed record of all the incoming and outgoing traffic between it and Flight 370. This is what it contained. Prior to the flight's disappearance over the South China Sea, everything appeared to be working as intended. Then, at some point during this portion of the flight, the SATCOM link was severed.
Whoa.
For whatever reason, the terminal ceased to respond.
Like,
But
just
3
listening
minutes
how
after the flight
things
vanished
got
over the
automatically
Andaman
shut off.
the terminal
I mean, it
requested
does
to
sound
log
like
back
it was
onto the
intentional,
network.
so I don't
The
know
SATCOM link
why
was
someone would do
successfully
this.
re-established and was not disrupted again until nearly 6 hours later, when the flight is presumed to have crashed due to fuel exhaustion.
Okay, this is weird.
During
you know,
these
this sounds
final
weird, all
hours,
over
2
it.
attempts were made to contact the plane via satellite telephone. Both calls were acknowledged by the SATCOM terminal and would have been routed to the cockpit.
Oh, so yeah, I threw,
Yet,
but no one
they
answered.
went unanswered.
Oh.
The terminal had also responded to 5 automatic status requests. In short, if the ground station had not heard from the aircraft in over an hour, it would transmit a signal to confirm the terminal was still online. While these transmissions did not contain any information about the flight's position, investigators were able to measure the distance between the satellite and the aircraft at the time of each transmission.
Okay. That's smart, you know, trying to measure like where exactly the plane
This
was based on the
generated
like
7
the
rings of
transmission.
possible locations,
But I mean, yeah,
from
we
which
can
7
only
of these
guess and
transmissions
speculate
are
so
thought to
much
have
because, you
originated.
know, there you go,
By
that
taking
area.
fuel consumption, speed,
All those
and
red
other
dots, you
factors
know,
into
the
account,
plane could have
flight
landed
path
anywhere of
analysis
those.
indicated the most probable
And that would be
origin
a
of the
tough
final
search.
transmission to be somewhere along this
Like time
arc in
consuming
the
and
southern
money
Indian
consuming.
Ocean. The search
lot of
effort
effort, man,
shifted
put into the
accordingly,
search.
and as the region fell within the jurisdiction of Australia, the Australian government took charge of the operation. Over the
Alright.
next few weeks, the search area was progressively refined to account for oceanic drift as well as improved estimations of the flight path. But this part of the southern Indian Ocean is so remote it took 6 days just to get there. A new fleet of aircraft and vessels gradually covered more than 4.5 million square kilometers of ocean, but Flight 370 was nowhere to be found.
I'm still lost, you know, and that the fact that it took 6 days to get to those remote parts of the ocean. Like, I'd be kind of worried if I was a rescue team, because I don't want to disappear, you know. Whatever somewhere part of the ocean is like a Bermuda Triangle that we haven't even figured out yet.
Devices known as hydrophones. This possibility was investigated, and 4 hydroacoustic monitoring stations had recorded something.
Yeah, hearing this.
While the timing and direction of the sound were reasonably consistent with the final satellite transmission,
The sounds of the
estimated
ocean,
origin
y'all.
was not. The sound was in all
In a
likelihood
way,
caused
kinda
by
creepy.
nothing more than geological activity. Flight 370 was also equipped with 2 underwater locator beacons which had a battery life of some 40 days, and as the deadline approached in early April, signals with a pulse and frequency somewhat similar to the signal emitted by the beacons were detected at depths of up to 3,000 meters.
Alright.
An autonomous submersible then spent weeks scanning the seafloor where the signals had been detected, but no wreckage was ever found.
Yeah, that is so crazy. Like the world actually
nothing
used
would
every
be
single
found until more
possible
than
way, you
16
know, the
months later,
plane
when
to
the
track
discovery was
to
made
trace
on
back
the
to where the
opposite
plane
side
crashed.
of the Indian Ocean.
From like
On the 29th
transmitters
of July,
measurements to like the
2015,
the
a
sound
group
of the
people were
ocean.
cleaning up a beach in Reunion,
crazy,
a
man.
small island to the east of Madagascar, when they stumbled upon this 2-meter-long metallic object covered in barnacles.
Oh.
Aviation experts quickly identified the object as a section of an aircraft wing known as a flaperon. Upon closer inspection, internal markings including dates and serial numbers conclusively ascertained the flaperon belonged to Flight 370.
Yo, that's crazy.
Even
So
though
we have
Reunion
found
Island
some
is some
items.
4,000 kilometers west of the search area, and more than a year had gone by since the flight disappeared, the location was consistent.
Yo,
with
look how it
simulations of
wandered
debris
so far
disposal
from the
patterns.
the
There was now
crash site.
tangible
Like that's
evidence
so
that Flight
crazy. That's
370
so.
had crashed somewhere in the Indian Ocean. The discovery
But
of the
no
flaperon
luggage.
prompted numerous searches along beaches and shorelines
The fact that
of
these
Southeastern
beaches and
Africa,
shorelines
and
got
at
out
least
these pieces of
31
plane, that is
additional
so
items of
suspicious.
interest
It's
have
kind of
since been
weird, you
recovered
know. Like
and
wow, you
examined.
know, a
Some
plane
of
must
these
have crashed.
items
You know,
include
rest in peace to the
a section
people.
of the
But like,
outboard
hey, y'all
flap
interested in
from
this
the
part?
right wing,
I'm just saying.
a piece of cowling from one of the 2 engines, a partial door from the nose landing gear,
Oh.
a section of the vertical stabilizer, and a mangled casing from one of the embedded headrest monitors.
Oh.
18 of these items were identified as either likely, highly likely, or almost certain to have originated from Flight 370.
And how many
whereas
were
only
certain?
3 could be confirmed.
Oh, okay.
The remaining 11 could not be identified.
I mean, yeah, I mean, for
There were
sure,
no
man.
traces of
Everybody's
an
there. The
explosion
plane
found on any of
crashed.
the debris tested, nor was there any evidence of a fire except for 3 small burn marks on one of the unidentifiable items.
I'm assuming, you know, the probably
search
like there
for
was like a
debris was
fire in the
further
plane. Maybe
aided
like
by
one of them
Earth
just caught on fire or
observation
something. I don't know,
satellites.
man.
Analyses of satellite imagery from March of 2014 uncovered a number of images which appear to feature man-made objects floating on or just below the surface in the southern Indian Ocean.
Okay, so
However,
did we
the
get like the
images were not
closer?
nearly sharp enough to resolve any identifiable
Oh my god!
markings,
So what was the point?
and
You know, I'm taking
multiple
all these
searches
images.
not
You know.
why it crashed. Nevertheless, there have been no shortage of theories.
All right, we get into the good part. You know, the theories, the conspiracy theories, and whatnot. Let's see what I'm missing.
On the day of the disappearance, 2 of the passengers raised suspicion as they had boarded the flight with stolen passports,
Bruh.
which immediately prompted
They
concerns
still got
of
it
a
through?
hijacking. But investigators were unable to link the 2 men to any terrorist organizations,
Alright.
and soon determined they had traveled under false identities because they were seeking asylum, not due to any nefarious
Yo,
intent.
I mean, that's
Similar
like
suspicions were raised on one of the passengers were
That's
identified
crazy.
as a
They
flight
got
engineer
in.
who might have possessed the necessary expertise to take control of a Boeing 777.
might.
Apart from
Why?
the 239 persons on board, Flight 370 carried nearly 11 metric tons of cargo.
Yeah.
Among the items listed on the flight manifest was a shipment of lithium-ion batteries, which led some to suspect a fire might have broken out mid-flight.
Yeah, maybe that
For
caused the
instance,
fire.
the crash of UPS Airlines Flight 6 in September of 2010 was the result of a fire that was ignited by a
Whoa.
pallet of lithium-ion
Damn, man,
batteries.
that's a bunch of angry
Another potential
customers. You
source
know,
of
their
ignition
package
would
got
be an
lit on
electrical
fire.
malfunction. The crash of Swiss Air Flight 111 in September of 1998 is thought to have been caused by a fire within the electrical wiring above the cockpit. The fire damaged and disabled multiple avionic systems, including the transponders.
See, this is
and
why I don't
Sentinel.
fly in planes that often.
In the
You know,
case
I'm
of Flight
scared like
370,
one of
the
these
sudden
days, you
loss of
know, I'm
communication
gonna be
and
one of the
subsequent
unlucky
deviation
few
from the
that
scheduled
an
flight path
accident happens
might
to
have
the
been a direct
plane.
response to a
And
fire.
I don't know, people
The
start
2 pilots may have
panicking.
turned
Obviously,
back
the
towards
pilots are like,
Malaysia
we're
to
gonna
attempt
land
an
this
emergency
thing, and
landing
you pray to
at the
God that
nearest
I can
international
land it on safe
But
grounds.
no such attempt was ever made. Instead, Flight 370 kept going and remained aloft for another 6 hours. Some have theorized the crew might have been incapacitated by a sudden or gradual loss of cabin pressure. For instance, when Helios Airways Flight 522 failed to pressurize in August of 2005, the pilots quickly fell unconscious.
Oh,
Yet the
Jesus.
aircraft continued to fly on autopilot for more than 2 hours until it ran out of fuel.
Wait, so it
Airline
crashed you?
pilots are of
Oh,
course trained for such an event. In the event of cabin depressurization,
What do
an
you do?
automatic system is designed to deploy oxygen masks to give the pilots enough time to perform an emergency descent to a more breathable altitude. The data recorded by the Malaysian military radar does indeed contain altitude information, but it is highly inconsistent. In fact, the Boeing 777 is incapable of performing the extreme altitude fluctuations recorded. At one point,
yeah, that
the
is so
aircraft
weird. That
exceeded
detail
its
that it goes
maximum
up and down
operating
and just
altitude by more than
does like sharp
50,000
turns,
feet
especially, you know,
before
on
making
that
a
little
50,000
edge.
feet nosedive in less than a minute.
Can like autopilots really
Attempts
do
to
that?
recreate these maneuvers on a flight simulator were unsuccessful, and
Oh,
thus
so
the
they
data was
can't.
deemed
What?
inaccurate and
Maybe some can't do that. I
unreliable.
don't know, man. I don't know nothing about planes.
If Flight 370 did lose cabin pressure at 35,000 feet, and the pilots were incapacitated before descending to a more oxygenated altitude, it might explain why the aircraft remained aloft for as long as it did. What is a bit more difficult to explain, however,
The peaks
are these
disturbing?
alterations in heading. Flight simulations have established the aircraft must have been under manual control during the initial left turn, as the bank angle or inclination of that turn
But
was
why
beyond
would
the
they
limits
return?
of the
That is like
autopilot. Subsequent turns,
that's
however,
weird.
could have been either manual or automatic. But for the autopilot to have made these course corrections, someone with the requisite knowledge must have programmed it to do so. The only other alternative is that the
like it
aircraft
got
was in
hijacked
fact
now.
under manual control.
Yeah. All these
In late June
headlines.
of 2014,
I remember seeing these
several
headlines a
news
lot
outlets
during the
reported
news,
that
you
a
know.
special
A lot of people
investigation
started
had identified the
speculating and talking
captain of Flight
about, you know,
370
let's get out
as
there
a
and find the
prime suspect.
plane.
A search
Let's
of the
mourn for the
captain's home
family,
would
thoughts
uncover a
and
flight
prayers and
simulator
whatnot.
which supposedly contained a suspicious route which ended in the
Oh, look.
southern Indian Ocean.
They got the flight simulator
At the
one of the
time, there
captains,
was
I
no
think.
official acknowledgement that such a route had been recovered, and a lengthy public report issued by the Malaysian government in 2015 made no mention of such a discovery.
All those papers,
Then,
all
in
the reporting just to come up with
2016,
nothing, man.
confidential documents pertaining
Sad.
to a forensic examination conducted by the Royal Malaysia Police in May of 2014 was leaked to the media. These
they
documents
were
made it
leaked.
clear that such a route had not only been recovered, but thoroughly examined. Soon thereafter, the Malaysian government confirmed the existence of this simulated flight path, and this is what it looks like.
Okay,
It
just
should come as no surprise that many regard
go
this
straight.
as damning evidence of premeditation, but according to investigators, it is not quite so evident. The data recovered consists of 7 coordinates, 2 in Kuala Lumpur, 2 in the Strait of Malacca, 1 in the Bay of Bengal,
Oh, there's a
and
lot.
2 in the southern Indian Ocean. The data was reconstructed from a file that had been automatically generated and saved by the simulation software a month before the incident. However, it's not clear whether the coordinates originate from the same flight section.
Even then, I mean, if
In
it
other
was
words, it might
planning,
not be correct to simply trace a continuous
Why?
line between these 7 coordinates, as they could be from separate sessions. He had more than 18,000 hours of flight experience and a spotless
wow,
track record.
just
Investigators found no evidence
I don't think
of
he
financial
did that
issues, and his
intentionally,
monthly
considering how he had a
expenses before the
family. He had a good paying
disappearance
job for
indicated
sure.
nothing unusual. He had no history
Just
of
to throw
mental
it all that
illness,
away.
nor had he displayed any recent changes in lifestyle or behavior.
Now, I hope he didn't
He
just
was
throw all
raised
that
on
away
the
for just some
island
dumb
of
thing.
Penang, which has led some to speculate the flight's second turn to the southwest of Penang was the captain getting a final view of his hometown.
Interesting.
Some believe a hijacking could have been politically motivated, as Sahari was an avid supporter of a democratic opposition leader who was sentenced to 5 years
I don't know,
in prison
politically
mere
maybe,
hours
but I
before
think
Flight
that's just a
370
big of
took
a
off.
stretch.
Others point to
Man,
unconfirmed
why that specific
reports
flight?
of
They could have done
marital
so much
issues,
other
but this
things.
is contradicted by the official investigation and disputed by family members.
Yeah.
The only
I just
real
don't see that.
inconsistency noted by the final report is that the captain failed to repeat the assigned radio frequency during the last verbal communication.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
It would have been standard procedure to
Well, he
repeat the
forgot the
assigned frequency as the captain
120.9?
had correctly done a few minutes prior.
Yeah, but maybe he was tired.
1326, good night.
Alright, 1326 Malaysian 370.
Whether this omission is indicative of anything but a mistake is anyone's best guess.
Yeah, I just
By
that
all
doesn't
accounts, Captain
get us
Sahari was an
nowhere. He
affable
was just
and
tired or was a
well-respected
mistake,
pilot
like he said.
who was passionate about aviation, as evident by the photos and videos he shared on social media.
He seems like a cool guy. Look at him. Yes. Yeah, a YouTube video showing us, how to use flight simulations, I guess.
The co-pilot was found to be even less conspicuous. Farik Abdul Hamid was only 27 and due to marry a fellow pilot. He had
Oh.
nearly 3,000 hours of flight experience, although only 39 hours in
And
this
he was
type
having
of
a bright
aircraft.
future. Seems,
Much like
I don't
Sahari,
see him
Farik
that
had no
doing
financial,
anything
mental,
dangerous,
or
to risk
interpersonal
his
issues
life
of
just
note,
to throw,
nor was there any evidence
a
of
good life
conflict
away.
between the two of them. Some questioned the plausibility of a pilot-instigated hijacking due to the apparent lack of interference by the other pilot. Well, when Ethiopian Airlines Flight 702 was hijacked by the co-pilot in February of 2014, he did so by merely waiting for the captain to take a bathroom break before locking the cockpit door behind him.
Well, that's odd,
The co-pilot was then free to divert the Italy-bound flight to Switzerland to seek asylum.
Oh,
The only
that's
noteworthy
crazy. Just
piece
to
of
seek
evidence
asylum,
in
he did all
regards to the
that.
co-pilot of Flight 370
Jesus
is
Christ.
his phone. You see, when the confidential documents were leaked, they also confirmed another long-circulated rumor.
What's up?
Namely that a cell phone tower had briefly established a connection with an iPhone 5S
so
belonging to the
crazy.
co-pilot as Flight 370 approached the island of Penang.
On Saturday, March
According
8,
to investigators, it
2014?
was not a phone call as has been widely reported by the media,
What, it was
but
just like a
merely
GPS?
an automatic location signal.
Yeah.
Why this information was omitted from public reports, we may never know.
Okay, that's weird. Why would I hide that information like you
So
said?
what is one to make of all of
Alright.
this? On the one hand, the simulated flight path seems suspicious. On the other, it is difficult to cast any substantial doubt on either
Yeah, I
of
don't
the
think
two
the
pilots'
co-pilots did
character.
anything. They looked
It
like they
is
were having,
equally
good
difficult
lives.
to deny a hijacking is consistent with the available evidence. Then again, we're missing some quite major.
And I mean, I'm glad, you know, we found at least like 3 pieces that are for sure
the final
from
report
the plane.
issued by the Malaysian government in 2018 could not attribute the loss of communication nor diversion of Flight 370 to a malfunction. Instead, it is believed that someone manually manipulated the aircraft and its systems.
That's for sure.
For
Someone
instance,
manually. I believe that too because of the sharp
was
turns.
manually disabled by a sudden.
But why?
and
Like
prolonged
that's so
interruption of
crazy.
power.
If I
Then,
believe that,
once
then
power
that
was
means that
restored,
the
terminal
pilots, the
simply
co-pilots, somebody was
Likewise,
plane
the
knowledge must have,
alterations
you
in
know,
heading
done
are
some
believed to be the
crazy
result of
awful
manual
shit.
inputs. With that
Maybe
being
when they
said,
were
the
sleeping? I don't
uncertainty
know,
of these
man.
findings are repeatedly emphasized due to the limited evidence available, and the report does never explicitly state the flight was hijacked. In fact, no real conclusion is reached. Some believe there was no crash, but that the aircraft was shot down by an American naval base in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The satellite transmissions were then supposedly forged
That'd be
as part of
tragic.
a massive cover-up. Others believe
that
the
could be,
aircraft
I mean,
turned
maybe.
right
I
towards
believe
India
that.
and traveled as far north as Kazakhstan, completely undetected. Debris was then supposedly planted along shorelines of southeastern Africa as part of a massive cover-up. Another theory suggests the aircraft was remotely hijacked and controlled by someone on the ground. While
I'm not
Boeing
sure if
and
that's
other companies have
possible.
experimented with
Probably
technology
is,
that
but
would
I mean,
allow for an aircraft to be remotely controlled, no commercial
It's gotta be
airliner is
hard,
known to
you
be
know, just to
outfitted
get
with such a system.
that stable signal.
On the less conspiratorial side, the assumption that Flight 370 flew in a straight line and at a constant speed after turning left towards the southern Indian Ocean might simply be incorrect. In early 2018, a French team of independent investigators proposed an alternate flight path, whereby an attempted landing on Christmas Island led to a crash
Christmas
site much
Island.
further north than the
What an
region
interesting
identified by
name.
the official investigation.
An island that every day is
While a
Christmas, you
surface
get
search of
president.
this area
That was
was
such an
conducted
idea, you
about
know.
a week
Let's
after the
go.
disappearance, the underwater phase never reached this far north.
So that was the mystery flight of 370 of Malaysia. Overall, you know, the mystery has not been solved yet. The search team have stopped searching for the plane, what has LEMMiNO stated in the end of his video. It's unfortunate that, I mean, we still, to this day, the year 2022, we haven't figured out what happened to the passengers, haven't found any luggage or any plane, and nothing, man, nothing. We have currently probably found like more plane parts. I mean, I'm glad the video stated that we at least found 3 plane parts that belong to the plane, so that definitely confirms that the plane crashed somewhere, and presumably, I mean, everybody died. It's crazy how many investigators, you know, figured out different methods of trying to locate precisely where the plane crashed, whether it was that like measuring the transmission signals or like the waves, like the sound waves that the plane might have made throughout the ocean, through those peaks of sound, you know, from those scanners from the bottom below the ocean. So that was crazy, you know. The pilot, the co-pilot, I think didn't have a reason to. I mean, they looked like they were having successful lives, you know. One was about to get married, and one of the pilot had a family. So I just don't see that. Hopefully, I mean, they didn't do something crazy just to prove something, whatever. But anyways, I mean, hopefully, I mean, they can find the plane, whoever, in my lifetime, because I want to know what happened to the plane. I mean, obviously it crashed, but I want to know why though. And if you like this video, please remember to subscribe to the channel to help it grow. Like, comment below, share it with your friends, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.